So the first thing we're going to talk about now, or the next thing we're going to talk about, is getting a map of the alphabet inside our brain in a very particular way. And for this group of students who tend to struggle with processing auditory information, we're gonna make it easy on them. So, you know, I already said this is a non-phonics based approach. And what we're going to do is we're going to minimize the requirement for processing phonetic information by using what's basically considered a whole language approach. And these, there's been a lot of research. There are two ways that they've come up with for processing written information, the way we read. And one of them is recognizing the word. It's word recognition. And for most people, this accounts for the vast majority of our reading ability. Once you get past the 4th grade, very few people read phonetically. It's a very temporary skill. It's almost always the gateway, the door to reading whole words, recognizing whole words. So yes, for 85% of the children, a phonetic approach, putting phonics first and then whole language, that's a very appropriate way. So again, what we're saying is that for most readers, phonics leads to whole language, or whole word reading, word recognition. And as any speed reader will tell you, you can't speed read phonetically. It's too slow. I mean, auditorily, you can process information at about 3 to 4 words per second. 3 to 4 words per second, or about let's call it 200 words per minute. 200 words per minute. So how do people read it at 400, 800, 1,000 words, or 1,200 words a minute? Well, they're certainly not reading phonetically. They're reading whole language. At least for 95 or 98% of the words on the page. They're reading whole words. It's word recognition. And the nice thing is, using whole language or word recognition, since it's primarily a visual process, well, you can do that at 400, 800, and even 1,200 words a minute. It's very cool. So in this program, we're not only setting the stage for the child to read successfully, we're actually setting the stage for them to read much, much faster than most people. Much faster than anyone can possibly read phonetically. Again, is phonics, for most children, is phonics the doorway to whole language reading? Yes. But does it have to be? That's the question. Does it have to be that way for all children? Is it appropriate for phonics to come first and whole language to come later? Maybe not. If a child is struggling with an auditory processing issue, whether it's called dyslexia or ADHD or autism, come on, if you have a pervasive or a PDD or ASD child, I'm almost guaranteeing, because I have 6 of them in various degrees, I almost guarantee that your child is probably the epitome of in one ear and out the other. That's what that phrase was created for people like me, people like us, for this group of children. We just don't really live in that auditory world. So to force us to use a phonics-based approach when we really don't live in that phonics world, that phonetic world, that 2D world. Is that not bordering on insanity? Talk about dysfunction. Talk about a disability. Superimposing a methodology onto a child simply because it's the most popular. It's like, it's that old question. If there's 10 cannibals, if you have 10 cannibals on an island, can 9 of them vote to eat the 10th cannibal? So can we vote to force a child to choke down phonics when just because 8 out of 10 or 85 out of 100 kids do well with phonics? That's crazy. Sorry, I digress every once in a while. But a phonics-based approach to reading is awesome. It's great. There are great programs out there that I will not name, but they're awesome. Is phonics the way to teach every single child on the planet to read? I say no. No. No more than this approach is going to be perfect for every child on the planet. Okay. So the approach we're going to take is whole language. We're going to make a map of the alphabet in the child's mind. Ideally, when we're done with this, the child will not be reciting the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I never want to hear that again. And to make sure that the child really has the map, we're going to ask him at some point, when it's comfortable and natural, to actually say the alphabet backwards. Visually, using his visual map, Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, N, M, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Is that some trick or some freaky thing? No. Most of the children that I work with graduate being able to say the alphabet forwards and backwards just as easily. Same thing with spelling words. So here's a little test. Here's a little test. So let's start off in that three-dimensional world. See if you can find something, an object, an apple, or something that the child is relatively familiar with. And again, with the child facing you, looking straight at you, chin level, head straight, hold this apple slightly up and to his left. And this is gonna cover 98% of the kids you're going to run into. Occasionally, we will find a child that's what we call reverse organized, and it's going to be to his advantage to work more over to the upper right. But for now, let's just hold it up to the left. And ask the child to close his eyes and to visualize, using his imagination, that shiny red apple with green leaves. Just for a couple of seconds. Just close his eyes, hold that apple steady. Notice that, can he see the red? Can he see it bright, shiny red? Can he see the green leaves? And for most children, especially visual thinkers and visual learners, like those ASD and PDD children, and those children that get identified as dyslexic or ADHD, they're going to probably be able to see that without any problem. Now there is an exception. Some children who are fairly stressed out and they're not relaxed and focused, their internal pictures are jumping around too much. There's too much noise, too much movement there, and they're not going to be able to see that apple very well. Or they're not going to be able to hold it steady. Sometimes adults have trouble holding that image steady, but as this is basically for kids, I'm going to put that off for another talk, another time. So if your child cannot picture at all, if they can't get an image of that shiny red apple in their imagination, this program is probably not going to be appropriate. Not without some additional intervention. So we're going to presume that we at least have 3D processing okay, so that this is okay. And we can see that that shiny red apple with 2 green leaves as a starting place. And we want to be able to hold that image steady. And next, what I'd like you to do is take a piece of paper. I like cardstock. It's nice and stiff. I can actually stand it up on the table, right? It'll stand up like a little tin, okay? And I'd like you to write the word in about 1-inch high letters, apple. Very, very easy word, apple. Half the word in red and half the word in blue. And take the card, and just like you held the apple up to the slightly up and to the left, okay? I'd like you to do the same thing with the card and ask the child just to spell the red letters a couple times. A-P, A-P, good. And now have him close his eyes and right underneath the picture, the image of the shiny red apple, add the letters A-P. Good. Good. And next, have him open his eyes and spell P-L-E, the blue letter. Spell P-L-E twice. P-L-E. Good. Now have him close his eyes and imagining the card up to the left, right under the shiny red apple with green leaves, ask him to spell the red letters and the blue letters, and the red letters and the blue letters. And next, ask him to spell the word apple, picturing the shiny red apple with green leaves, and spell the word apple. One last time, picture the shiny red apple, spell the word apple, and now spell the word apple and then spell it backwards. Most children, non-severe dyslexic children, will be able to go A-P-P-L-E, E-L-P-P-A. Some children, you may notice, with either this word or longer words, they may spell the word with less struggle. You know, you'll see it in their body language. They'll spell the word easily, more easily, backwards than forwards. Awesome sign, a very, very telling sign of a visual thinker, visual learner. So, that's kind of the basis, the basic technique that we're gonna employ as we go along. Notice we haven't worked with the alphabet individually yet, because what I'd like to do is try a couple of words like this and notice how the child does. Because if the child can say, take the next word, something that they probably couldn't spell, and again, we're going to look at the word success, spell the red, S-U-C, spell the red, S-U-C. Now, close your eyes, spell the red. Make it big and bright. Make those letters big and bright, spell the red, S-U-C, S-U-C. Okay? Open your eyes, spell the blue. Looking at the card, focus on the card, C-E-S-S. C-E-S-S. A lot of kids, you're going to have to really encourage them to slow down. Take your time, focus on the card. Really make each letter, C-E-S-S. All right, close your eyes, spell the red, S-U-C, spell the blue, C-E-S-S. Spell the red, S-U-C, spell the blue, C-E-S-S. Spell success, S-U-C-C-E-S-S. Spell success, S-U-C-C-E-S-S. Now, spell it backwards, or spell it one last time forwards and then backwards. I always like to put those two together. All right, last time, just for fun. I say that a lot. Just for fun, we're having fun. Just for fun, spell the word success forwards and backwards. S-U-C-C-E-S-S, S-S-E-C-C-U-S. And even with the child's eyes closed, you will probably notice their eyes moving. We want the child looking up, here, not down, not memorizing, not calculating, not internal audio dialogue. We want him looking up at his images. S-U-C-C-E-S-S, S, S-E-C-C-U-S. Forwards and backwards. It's just a picture, whole word. It's not individual letters. It's not even syllables. It's just a whole word. Success. Forwards and backwards. It doesn't matter. Okay? Now, what happens if that doesn't work? What do we do if that doesn't work? Well, again, it could be that this program is not going to have enough of the resources that your child needs to successfully continue on. But it could be your child doesn't quite have that map of the letters, especially if they've been teaching them phonetically. So we're gonna give them another approach right here. We're gonna help with that visual perception, and we're gonna help him make that map, that map of the alphabet. So if you hold this card up and you're holding it up to his left, which would be like if I'm the child, I'm looking up to my left, and I look at the card and I spell the red, spell the blue, S-U-C-C-E-S-S, S-U-C-C-E-S-S. I'm going a little fast here to keep this thing moving. And you take the card away and he closes his eyes and he goes, instead of S-U-C-C-E-S-S, the child says with a furrowed brow and a lot of tension, S-E-C-S-U, what? No, wait, look at it again. S-U-C-C-E-S-S. Okay, got it. S-U-S-S, hold on. S-U-C-C-E-S-S. Got it. S-U-S-C-E-C-C-E. Obviously, there's something missing in that perception. Because most children, almost everyone in the world with relatively normal visual processing, if they look at something like this, 4, 7 letters, and they close their eyes, that image is going to persist in their brain for at least a few seconds. Especially if you just do 3 letters and 4 letters, you break it up into pieces. So what I'm saying is, if there's a relatively simple word and the child is still mixing up the letters, S is Z, or U is N, or C is E, and E is C, and they can't keep those letters straight when they close their eyes, what's missing is a map of the alphabet, an internal map. So again, we're not talking about the function of the eyes or sight. We're talking about the perception. And maybe to his perception, these are all the same thing right now. So how do we separate that? How do we turn that off and get him to see the P and the B and the D and the P? Well, we're going to move them functionally as a process. We're going to move them into the real world. We're going to move the 2-dimensional objects for a moment into the 3-dimensional world so that we can move them back to the 2-dimensional world. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but because the child lives in a 3-dimensional visual spatial world, we've got to go there. We've got to do this on the child's own terms, on his turf. We need to work with his process and his abilities. So this is a little bit roundabout, but we're going to take these 2-dimensional objects. We're going to bring them into his 3-dimensional world, and then on his terms, we're going to turn them into 2-dimensional objects again. And here's how we're going to do that. So what we're going to do is have the child sit down. No, okay. So what we're going to do is get a hold of an alphabet. And so what we're going to do is get a hold of an alphabet, and we're going to print it up, capital and lowercase letters. I printed this one out in color just to make it a little more fun. Okay? And we're going to print out this alphabet, and we're going to sit down with the child. Again, after we've done our relaxation and focusing exercises, and have some fun. Maybe we'll sit down and maybe the parent can roll out the Play-Doh to make it go a little faster, and be talking about we're just having fun. It's just something to make learning easier. And we're going to ask the child to make these letters just a little bit larger than they are on the paper. So we don't want him tracing through the letter like with the clay. We want to make the letter just a little bit bigger. And we're going to say very little in terms of what we feel the letter looks like and what it should be. And we're just going to let the child maybe make a letter like that, and ideally break the letter into pieces, and there we go. And that would be our first letter. And again with the B. Now some children are going to make a letter the way they've been writing them, and they're going to try to go like that. I'm going to ask them not to do that. I'm going to ask them not to. Let's not do that, because I'm going to point out that this B is a very straight line, and then there's a separate curve. Okay? So I'm going to look at making this B in two pieces. There we go. Yeah. And the letter C. There we go. Now, if I had the child in here, I'd probably be doing some additional exercises and asking the child to maybe close his eyes, make a picture of the A, focus in, just trace the A in his imagination, imagine the A on a whiteboard. This is where it gets a little bit different for each child and each child's needs. But essentially, we're going to take and make this entire alphabet piece by piece out of clay and really give the child a different experience of what the alphabet is. We may do this several times in the early stages of the program. The more trouble the child has seeing those letters in his imagination, the more time we're going to need to spend on this. And after we do the alphabet, if for young children, I may only do half the alphabet at a time, and for older children, we'll do the whole entire alphabet. Just sit down, letter by letter, step by step, take your time and focus, visualizing each letter until the entire alphabet's done. After that, we get to play the game. We get to play the alphabet game. And I like this. This is fun. Again, there's no stress. It's just having fun. And we're going to leave the alphabet right here on the table, right in front of the child. So the camera is looking from the child's point of view right now. The adult would probably be sitting opposite or to the side. And now we're going to play a little game. And the game is, I'm going to give the child a letter, and the child is going to give me back the letters before and after. So if I say B, the child says AC. If I say F, the child says GH or EG. If I say Q, child says PR. If I say SRT. One last thing on making the letters. I'm going to ask the child to copy the letters off of the whatever sheet you're using, and I would suggest starting with a non-serif font, something very basic like like Arial or something, something very basic. And then if you'd like, with older kids, you could do a Times Roman font or something like that, and have them really spend some time, really play with the letters. And then after we're done, we're going to play the game again. We're going to play the game after we're done making the letters. And the ultimate object is to be able to give me the letters before and after without looking. But there's no pressure. There's no pressure. It's just a game. It's just for fun. So as often as you need to, as much as you need to, look at the letters on the board, on the table, or on the wall, wherever they happen to be. It's nice to put this up on the wall. So again, every time the child is looking for the information, he's going to have to look up to his right. So however you need to arrange the room so when the child looks for the answer, he looks up to his right. That's a nice little bonus that if you can throw that in. So we're going to play the game. I'll say C, B, D, O, N, P, V, U, W, L, K, M, X, W, Y. So just mix it up. Mix it up. Just go around the alphabet 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. Younger children, you got to gauge. When they start getting tired and frustrated, take a break. Do something else. Come back later. And almost invariably, when we're done, most of the children, especially visual spatial learners, dyslexic, ADHD, ASD, PDDs, most children, with a little fun, a little practice, especially starting out with half the alphabet at a time, they will be able to, within a very reasonable amount of time, hours, days, maybe a week or two, say Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, N, M, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, without even looking at the alphabet, without looking at the page. And now you know you're ready. When the child gets to this point, you're going to see a shift. And they're going to be able to memorize their spelling words or sight words visually as whole words, as whole language. Especially if you get in the habit of taking their spelling words and putting them on a card. Break them up into syllables, break them up into colors. R-E-N, D-E-Z, V-O-U-S. I love this one for boys. They like this. It's a rendezvous, secret rendezvous. Okay? And it's not something you could possibly spell phonetically. And I doubt there's any rules that cover, I can't imagine that there's rules. If there's rules, I've never heard them for this spelling, other than it's French. Okay, so once we've gotten that map of the letters in our head, when we sit down after doing our exercises, we're relaxed and focused. Those letters should be relatively clear enough in our mind, in our perception as we perceive them, to spell basic words, both forwards and backwards, not memorizing, visualizing them. If we've gone this far and we're still not visualizing those letters, it's probably going to be more than this program will be able to deliver. I hate to keep saying that, but I want to be honest and realistic with parents, and we don't want to get to the point where we're just trying something else that's going to be frustrating for the child. Our programs let's go back here.